just done this by voice vote in the way it was supposed to?
Good to be with you, Sean and Lindsay. Thanks for having me on. And yeah, it's pretty unfortunate and completely unnecessary and pretty tone deaf with respect to where we are as a nation trying to survive this unprecedented crisis and provide the much needed relief. Time is of the essence if we're going to bounce back and recover, both from a family standpoint and workers, but also from an economy. We came off of a historic high in terms of growth and job creation. We can get there, but we can't if we dilly-dally and get hyper sensitive and hyperventilate over process.
You know, Congressman, prior to coming to Congress, you spent some time at the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, where you were known for rooting out waste, fraud, and abuse. You dealt with the reconstruction of the Gulf Coast after Katrina hit. You've been dealing with sort of big crisis issues for a long time. Where do you think this bill comes down in terms of the amount of waste that's in there, or is this on target?
Well, I think anytime you have this much money, $2 trillion, the most we've ever spent at one time, and anytime you're moving this fast, there's going to be waste, fraud, and abuse potential. We put some guardrails in with respect to the Treasury Fund. There's an inspector general and there's an oversight board. We just need to continue to tighten things up there because, again, speed is critical to our getting back, recovering, and rebounding from this big hit to the economy. But look, we have to do the things that are in there for the most part. But let's not shy away from the fact that Democrats negotiated things like money for the humanities, money for the arts, public radio, things that are completely unrelated. While that's shameful and it's political opportunism like I've never seen, I'm not going to be able to send this back to the Senate and protract this process anymore. We're going to get it out there. We can hash through those things later, and we got to help the American people. That's of the utmost importance right now.
Congressman Arrington, President Trump said some pretty strong words about Rep. Massie and tweeted about it, saying that essentially he should be thrown out of the Republican Party for his actions. You know, some people calling him Mr. No, his nickname, a thorn in the flesh. Do you think that that's appropriate action for what he tried to do today?
Look, Massie's a good person. He's a friend and a colleague. I will let his constituents deal with him based on the decisions he makes. He's their voice. They will hold him accountable, and he answers to them ultimately. I think the president is extremely frustrated, as are most members, because, again, we've been working through this. It's not easy. Nothing's going to be perfect in terms of the outcome, but I think the basic components for bridge loans to get these folks quick cash flow so we can keep continuity of unemployment or of employment, strengthen the unemployment safety net, and do some of the other things to shore up the healthcare frontline workers. That's all in there. Again, there's plenty of things I could argue are unnecessary. There are programs like direct payments that I would argue are not meaningful. They won't stimulate the economy. People will get money that don't need it, and with respect to that component. But again, we cannot wait for perfect. These are extraordinary circumstances. They require extraordinary measures. That's what that was about today, and it's unfortunate we have somebody that's hung up on process.
So 2 questions for you. One, just real quickly, when you were there today, how did your colleagues react to Tom Massie? Was he sort of, everyone socially distancing him for a different reason? So how did you do that? And second, we've already started to talk about the next phase. And so what I'm interested in is you talk about the extraordinary circumstances we're under, and I agree with that. The question is, are we already kind of behind the curve? And the folks that you represent down in Texas saying, that's great, but we're going to need more right after what you just passed.
Well, I think in terms of Massie and how his colleagues feel about him, he probably has been removed off of a few Christmas card lists. But he's a good person. I'll let his constituents deal with him with respect to decisions that he makes. But in terms of the bill, $2 trillion, Sean, I would say that there's more than enough money right now. In fact, I think the price tag is too high, but better to not come up short when you're in this emergency situation. But let's let this play out. Let's watch what's working, where we're getting traction, and then let's be a little more precise and take a little more time as we have the luxury of time to do. Right now, it's about the lifeblood to these businesses who are connected to working people, working families who need to keep their job, and a country that needs their economy to rebound.
Quickly, in your state, Governor Abbott now quarantining those coming in from New York and also New Orleans. Do you think these are the right measures to be taken?
Well, I think that you've got to take some pretty extreme measures given the what's going on in New York and in New Orleans. The name of the game here is to not have this spread any more than it already is, to mitigate any inundation of our health system. And I think every state and local leader is taking the abundance of caution in that regard. So no, at this point, with the next couple of weeks, where we will have an inflection of this going either the wrong way or right way, all depending on how local leaders are responding, state governors, how individuals are being vigilant and doing their part. I think it's not overreacting. I think it's being responsible. And then the next 2 weeks, I think, will dictate the course from there.
Congressman